Coach, go ahead.
Yeah, been a while, and there's a lot of things to discuss. So first, I just want to say how proud I am to be the head football coach at Mizzou, and how proud I am of this football team and this staff to stand alongside some very powerful leaders, Ryan Walters, Brick Haley, DJ Smith, Charlie Harbison, Marcus Johnson, Bush Hamden, Eric Link, Casey Woods, David Gibbs, and countless others on this staff and our players, for us to decide that it wasn't enough just to make a statement, but to also put action behind our words. It was a really powerful moment for me personally, and I believe it was a powerful moment for our team, for unity and cohesion, and to stand up for what is right. I made this comment. This was a clear instance of right versus wrong. And we tell our players and we tell people that when something is wrong, stand up against it. And what happened to George Floyd was wrong, and we stand against that and we fight for justice. And that's as clear as we can be about it. It was wrong, and it's time for as a nation to call out right versus wrong. And that was wrong, and we stand for justice, and not just to call it out, but to also Curtis Looper is very much a student of history, and talked about, becoming a more perfect union. We're not perfect. Abraham Lincoln said it right. We're trying to fight to become a more perfect union. And the way that we can do that is to fight for equality and to use our voice at the ballot box. And so that was where the action of registering to vote came about. It was a very powerful moment. Would like to thank both MUPD and Columbia PD for joining us on a strictly volunteer. Every person that came volunteered to walk with us and to take a knee with us and to join in our call for justice. And so for that, I couldn't be any more proud of our football team and these great men, these giants and men that I stand beside every day, that I'm proud to call teammates and to coach with these guys. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions and go from there.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Let's see. Andrew Kaufman, I got you first. You should be unmuted. Go ahead.
How's it going, Coach? Just first off, with the why was it so important for your players and all the student athletes that were marching yesterday to vote? And why was that such a important step, you think?
Well, because voting is about making your voice heard, and it's about creating a more perfect union. And we have, if we want effective change, change is not a sprint; it's a marathon. And we were backed up by the voice of President Obama, past president, former President Obama yesterday, talking about the importance of voting. I think we've again, Coach Looper talked about the right to vote was in the 60s, and they fought for 100 years to get that, and that's our voice right now. And it wasn't about tearing stuff down or trying to create any type of violence or anything like that, but it was about how do we create positive change through utilizing our voice. And we don't talk about who you want to vote for. That's strictly your choice, but the opportunity to vote, instead of complaining, do something. And that's a way to do it with this voting. And Andrew, last time I made some comments on here, you cut me up and you created some funny deals. So just be careful, because I'm going to start cutting you up too. Okay. I'm going to start.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see.
Let's see. Next to Seren Petro. Seren, good to see you with us. You should be unmuted.
Yep. Thank you very much, Chad. Thanks, Coach, for the time today.
Yep.
I know the statement the players made. I'm curious. We obviously had a big story break last night and continues today with Drew Brees talking about his comments, if anybody kneels, and what the flag meant to him, and that's created a major uproar. He's since apologized. The kneeling was a big issue 3, 4, 5 years ago, and colleges didn't really go down that road, but this seems to have much more momentum this year. The subject of players kneeling, has it been discussed with the team? Do you have a policy? Does the university have a policy as to how that will be handled if players do choose to kneel for the anthem this year?
We're very much focused on right now and what we're trying to do, which is stand for the justice of George Floyd and to create a sustainable action that promotes change. And that's my policy. And I think part of the problem and part of the issue right now is that we're losing focus on what we're trying to accomplish. And we're chasing a lot of different rabbits. And I've been told a long time ago, if you chase 2 rabbits, you'll catch none. And so I'm not even in that. I'm focused on what we can do right now for the justice of George Floyd, how my players can be heard, and how do we put an end to inequality right here for my players here and in the future. So that's really where I'm at with that whole thing, and haven't had any discussions further.
Okay, next to Colin. Colin, I got you unmuted.
Hey, Coach. Before I ask my real question, I wanted to ask real quick. Do you have a preference in spelling your first name on first reference, Eliah, or just Eli? Does it matter to you?
If I'm in trouble, it's probably Eliah. That's usually what my mom says. Eli is really if we're kind of friendly. But I have no preference. I respond to either one of them. My dad calls me Eli all the time because he came up with it. So.
Okay, I just wanted to ask. I don't know if you've been filled in on this, but Missouri football players participated in a student protest here on campus in 2015 with the Concerned Student 1950. And I was just curious, has the legacy of that carried over at all with this team? And if you've been caught up, who kind of helped you catch up with what happened in 2015?
No, I think that's for us, the whole branding of Mizzou. I was not here in 2015. And I don't believe anybody on our current team was here in 2015. This is about our moment in time right now and what we can do to create a conversation for social justice and equality. And we have not discussed that. And, I think, this is not a political statement. This is an equal rights statement. It's a human rights statement. What happened to George Floyd was wrong. And we call it out for what it was, which is wrong. And so, we're not trying to tie anything to this is about this moment in time and what's going on. Y'all can't see my screen right here, but there's a Web 3 right next to me. It's got like all kinds of different video going on, and it is really distracting. But no, Colin, to answer your question, no, I not tied into 2015. This doesn't have anything to that we're talking about George Floyd and how we can create sustainable action for change moving forward.
All right, Mitchell 40, you're next. Go ahead.
Hey, Eli, kind of going back before the march, when did players first kind of start expressing, an interest to you and to the staff in speaking up and trying to do something? And what was just the communication process like between you and your staff and the players?
Yeah, I want to be very, after some other things, I want to be very accurate about what my timelines here. So Friday at 11:30, we had our staff individually had discussed it with their players on Thursday because you had started seeing the tensions of last week. And then at Friday at 11:30, we had an impromptu team meeting and Zoom phone call. And had a conversation where I addressed them and coaches addressed what was going on. And then we followed up with position coaches. I believe the first time I was approached about doing something was maybe Saturday. One of my players, either Saturday or Sunday, had sent me something about participating in an event. And there was just some different issues and concerns with which how do we go about this, trying to be as safe as we can, and so that was when the conversation really started. And then our players were not asking for permission; they were seeking for support for right versus wrong, and so that's so. As we continued the discussion on yesterday, we had a 1:00 team meeting, and we just said, they had already said that this is something that they wanted to do and attainable action. And so we said, okay, we'll meet you at the columns at 2:00. Let's go.
All right, next question, Harold. I think I've got you unmuted if you want to go ahead. Oh, hang on. Try it again. Harold, are you there?
Harold may have to unmute himself. There you go, Harold.
Oh, there we go. There you go.
All right. Hope you're doing well, Coach. My question
Great.
to you is over on this side of the state in KC, obviously Patrick Mahomes sent out a statement about having a locker room and how he had brothers in his locker room coming together. I'm wondering for you as a coach, obviously you having a different background than many of the players you do coach, how have you gone across trying to bring both of them together, and did this kind of unify them to come together as one voice together, obviously with the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery? And then going forward, what do you expect out of your players to kind of keep the momentum going of what you had with the walk yesterday going forward? I know you got a season to coach, but I know a lot of players, this is a very important issue to them. How do you want to keep it going forward?
I want to be clear. It's an important issue for all of us. It's not a us versus them. It's all of us versus racism. And so this is not a situation where it's a them thing. It's an us thing. And so I want to be very clear on that. It is an us thing, and by us participating in the walk, we're all behind the fact that we are committed to equality. So yeah, you're always trying to, we have a list of 4 core values and a stated goal, right? So behind me, it says our goal is to win the SEC East in a bowl game with class, integrity, and academic excellence. Class is the way we go about a day-to-day basis, but integrity for us is that our words and our actions align. And so you're always trying to find something where you can actually use an illustration of something that's going on real world and apply it. And yesterday was about that. It was about taking our words and our statement and applying actions, and that is integrity for us. That's integrity. And that's what occurred. And then the second thing is, we have core values, 4 core values that we live by. And one of them is about building trust and respect within the teammates in the locker room. And the only way you build trust and respect is through investment over time. And COVID had and has robbed us of time. But I believe that this action and occurrence that happened is going to allow us to come together and form a bond. Because again, this is not a us them. This is right wrong, and our guys chose to stand up for right. And I think that hopefully that answers your question, Harold.
Yeah, and going forward, anything you
Yes,
guys
yeah. So we actually do. We've created an action plan about how do we sustain change and how do we become people of change? Because again, it's not enough to just say right now. It's like I said earlier, equality is a marathon, not a sprint. And so we do have things, and I don't want to get into all the discussion of what we've got working because I haven't unveiled the entire plan to our team. But it started with the voting box and registering to vote, and that's one start. But there's going to be more that involves service back to our community. There's going to be more about creating opportunities and internships with their degree. And then I think the very mission of college athletics, the very mission of college football is that we give young men an opportunity to get a degree because we believe education changes lives. And I have to, and our staff has to understand that it's bigger than football, and it's about ensuring that these young men get a degree so that they can be educated and they can help change. And so it's all of those, and we do have a very very informative and active plan that's going forth, and our players are going to be inundated with that.
Okay, Eric Blum, I got you unmuted. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. I'm curious, just beyond it being the right thing, as you said earlier, how it felt for you to be a part of the march and any feedback you got from players afterwards, if they were registered to vote and hadn't been registered to vote, of gratefulness, or just how was the bonding experience of the actual act of marching itself?
I want to be very careful. the interaction with me and my players is between us, and it's not for anybody else. It's for us. And it was a powerful moment for me that changed me. And it was for me. It was for me to grow and learn. And so, the interactions that I've had with my players about what's going on, that's for me to grow and learn. And it's not for public consumption, just to be blunt about it. I felt, I saw where George's daughter was on, I believe it was Steven Jackson's shoulders, and she said, "Daddy changed the world," and he has, and that's really what hit me, was he's changed the world, and this conversation is so much different than it's been in the past, and that's powerful, and it's changed me, and it's changed all of us, I believe. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful that I'm grateful that I get to be close to such strong men on this staff, and I'm grateful that I get to work with them every day, and I get to have the courage to do the things that we did because of them.
Clint Switzer, got you unmuted. Go ahead.
Coach, I wanted to talk a little recruiting with you, if that's okay. You've been able to sustain some really positive recruiting momentum despite COVID. You just got a commitment from four-star corner Dalen Carnell from Indiana. Can you just talk about the recruiting process these last few months and any advantages or disadvantages to doing so much of this virtually?
I want to be clear. I cannot comment on any specific prospect. I'm just not able to do that through NCAA rules. The ability that we've had to sustain recruiting is because of our recruiting staff. Jake Bresky, Jared Russell, Kevin Pendleton, Evan Norman, Tori Schoonover have done an outstanding job of finding creative ways for us to utilize Zoom phone calls, whatever it might be, to build trust and respect. Our coaches have been tenacious on the road, but not really on the road, but on Zoom calls and on text messages and phone calls, and just really getting out there who we are. And I think we're just working really hard, and I think people are buying the message of the new Zoo. Chad's on the phone. Do you want me to take over, Chad, or you got it?
I think Chad's muted, but he unmuted me, so I think I'm
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep, Peter, it's all you.
Oh, you're good. Hi Eli, how's it going?
Good, Peter.
I was wondering, what kind of plans do you have in place for, kind of circling back to the COVID stuff, for if there's a positive test within the program, what plans do you have in place to kind of address that?
Yeah. So shifting gears to COVID-19, I want to make it clear I'm not a doctor, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn last night. So, I'm a football coach, and I always defer to one, MU Health, and then two, our administration and what our response and appropriate response will be with COVID-19. With that being said, we've worked tirelessly. I don't know if that's the right word. Y'all can sub in another synonym there, but I've worked a lot in conjunction with our repopulation plan led by Tim Hickman and our trainer Owen Stanley. That's worked with, we have immunologists, we have epidemiologists, we have doctors, we have all kinds of people that are looking out for the best interests of our student athletes. We do have a plan in place. Staff or student to be, if there were to be a positive, we have an action plan for them. We have an action plan if there's somebody that has symptoms. We have followed county and CDC guidelines so that there is no social distancing violation. I don't know if I call them violations, but we're practicing safe social distancing while they're in the weight room, locker room, training room, facility. We are working out in groups of 20, no closer than 6 feet apart. we are taking temperature checks every day. We're taking symptom checks every day. We're actively monitoring those things. And then we have started COVID testing on all of our returning players today and tomorrow. And so we have a great plan in place. I feel great about it. Obviously, this is a unknown, and there's going to be, different things that come up. And we've tried to plan for every contingency, but whatever happens, we will work through it. And the best thing we've got going for us is we got MU Health 800 yards away, run by Jonathan Kirkwright, who does an outstanding job as the CEO, and it's got some of the best doctors in the world. And so feel very safe and strong. And I feel like this is the best place for all of our players if they're here and something should happen.
And then a quick follow-up is
Whoa. Did we say they could get 2, or is he trying to pull? Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Thank you. If there are there any, have you heard from any of your players who I guess are choosing to stay behind and not go to the voluntary workouts, or will they all be there?
I believe due to NCAA rules, one, I can't comment on that, and 2, I can't ask. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we go to Matt Michaels.
Hi, Eli. Appreciate you being here today. Maybe along a different tack of Peter's question, did you hear from your players as all the news started coming out saying, all right, it looks like voluntary workouts will be happening across the SEC and the NCAA, and some of that public news came out? Was there communication and a back and forth there with your players about what that might look like from their side?
I'm guessing I'm not sure I understand I don't really understand the question. There's always been open communication about what the rules will allow. I think the biggest thing that we've had to do is, the NCAA and the SEC, in conjunction with all the things that were going on, have not allowed access to the weight room, locker room, or indoor until June 8th. And so we've had to limit, because we have a lot of guys who live off campus here in Columbia. We've actually had to very, very much limit their interactions to be in compliance with the rules. So I think the more education has been, okay, what exactly can we do? What can we do? What is allowed? And that's really been more of the conversation than so much of, this is what we would like for it to look like.
I guess maybe another way to ask it would be, has there been enthusiasm? Has there been an eagerness from those players to get back and get to it in a way that they might normally be doing right now?
These guys are uniquely gifted by God to play a game at an unbelievably high level. They're elite in every single facet. And if you take that away from them, if you take that game away from them, they hate it. And these guys love football. They haven't been around their teammates, their brothers, their locker room, their coaches in nearly 12 weeks. There is absolutely an enthusiasm and an energy to get back and to start working towards that goal of September 5th playing UCA.
All right, Dave Matter, got you unmuted. Go ahead.
Eli, do you have any sense when teams will be able to start really working on football, not just workouts and things with your strength coach, but when your staff and you'll be able to get your hands on these guys to start preparing for the season?
Dave, did you get a haircut?
Did, yeah. It's going on its own, so I figure I might as well just accelerate the process.
I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan, but you kind of went with the George Costanza, the Costanza, and shaved it.
My wife approves. That's all I really care about right now, so all good.
I got 7 haircuts left. That's my best guess. I'm sorry. You were asking what?
Kind of have a sense when you can get back to football and
yeah. Sorry, I know. We're at the I'm not going to say mercy. I'm going to say we're at the hands of both the SEC, the NCAA, and the Football Oversight Committee. And there's 3 different groups that all got to get on the same page, and we're not there yet. So hopefully, we didn't know we were coming back June 8th until May 22nd, and so I don't know honestly, But no, we do not know yet. I know that there's discussions at all 3 different levels, but there's not been a consensus decision, nor has there been really there's not been a balloon raised either to try to figure out which one we would all be in favor
Even
of.
like a target date, like that would be ideal for everyone.
I mean, the target date for everybody, ideal. Well, I'm not going to say that. No. I mean, we're involuntary right now. I think everybody's in kind of, and I'm speaking out of turn here, and I maybe shouldn't say this. I don't want to put words in other people's mouth, but I think it's kind of let's see how the reintroduction goes, and then we'll figure out from there where we're at.
Thanks.
Okay, we got time for one more question for Coach, because I see Nick Bolton has joined us. So, and I know there's a lot of people with questions left for Coach, but Suichi, since you hadn't gotten in yet, go ahead and you can ask the last one of Coach, and then we'll excuse him. So go ahead, Suichi. You should be unmuted.
Cool. I appreciate that, Chad. That was nice of you. Hey, Eli, I was just wondering if there are any separate rules for the newcomers coming in terms of, I know some schools have mentioned incoming freshmen, maybe transfers coming in at a later time. And if there are, and if they're starting at the same time, I was wondering if they were going to be incorporated maybe with some of the upperclassmen just to kind of get them, working out with some of their teammates they haven't met yet.
We do have a plan for the freshmen coming in. All true freshmen should be here today and tomorrow, getting acclimated. They will actually begin workouts in their group again. In a normal world, yes, there's more acclimatization and crossbreeding, but because of the COVID, we're having to, I don't want to use the term isolate. We're having to reduce the populations in certain ways. And so that right now we just got the freshmen all together. Hey, Chad, real quick, I don't think Max Baker got to ask me a question. Does Max, you had your hand raised. Did you want to ask me something? It better be a good one too.
I was a little confused about like the specifics of the like the action plan if somebody tests positive, like what you kind of held up this like the packet, but like what is that, is there a way you could go into detail as to what exactly is the plan for when a player or if a player tests positive?
Max, let me ask you a question. Do you think when you ask me what we're going to do on third downs, I'm going to tell you exactly what the plays are?
No.
You're not? Okay.
No.
Here's what I would tell you, Max, to be very specific about it. We're going to follow the exact guidelines set aside by the CDC. We're going to do contact tracing. We're going to do isolation. We're going to quarantine. We're going to contact their families. We're going to make sure they're safe. We've got a protocol in place to check on them every single day, to make sure they are fed, to make sure that they are isolated but not alone. And then we're going to make sure that we do contact tracing throughout wherever it might be, whatever the CDC says. But we feel strongly that the ways that we are repopulating the building and working out, that the contact tracing will be minimal in our building, meaning that because of the way we're going about our workouts, going about our time in the locker room, going about our time in the training room, going about our time when they can pick up meals, that there should be a reduced risk of exposure to our football team. So, Max, great question. And I think I answered it pretty good.